Hello, savvy listeners. I am excited you are taking the time to invest in yourself today. Savvy, the business podcast, will show you how your daily habits can create your own platform. Experts will share solutions and efficient tips to create a roadmap just for you. One thing that can make this happen: change your habits, change your success. Welcome to Savvy, the business podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Savvy, the business podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Ambers, and we're bringing Jeff Heggie in today. He is a return guest. He is an expert in so many different things. He is a coach. He has his own magazine called Jeff Shed, and he is a constant contributor to helping you move to those next steps, creating your roadmap, creating that track where you can have a straight path to the destination that you want to go without too many zigzags in that map, in that roadmap. So let's get into it. So Jeff, thanks for coming on this morning.
Thank you, Melissa. I appreciate it. Love being on here with you. It's funny. I was looking at it this morning. I've been on a number of podcasts, but this was my very first podcast I was ever on. So,
oh wow,
I love it. I love your show.
Well, great. He came back, so that's a good thing. It's a great thing. So I know you've been you do a lot of videos on Instagram. And I know we've talked about it before, that it was a challenge you gave yourself for like a week or a couple of weeks or something like that. And it's just grown and grown. And you've just been doing it on a regular basis. And the information you're sharing in such a small video, you're sharing great inspirational information to where if somebody's kind of like, they're like, oh yeah, okay, let me get up, So it's great to have a video like that, and where it's easily shareable. So that's another good thing that you can share it with your people in your network. So with these videos, what is your what do you want people to really get out of these videos that you're posting?
Yeah, you know what? It started as one of my clients was looking for a way to give them a little bit of daily motivation, and I had agreed to it. And at first I thought maybe it's just a text message or a voice message or something I'd be sending them. And then I thought, well, no, I'll do it in a quick video and send it to them. And then I thought, if I'm doing it, why not be sharing it more? And so that turned in from being something I was going to just share to that one individual to now it's shared on Instagram and all the podcast platforms, and on YouTube as Jeff Haggie's Daily Success Strategies. But a lot of it, like I said, was the initial intention of it was to give a little motivation and inspiration on a daily basis. But it's really emerged as a valuable tool as I've got feedback from listeners and from clients and stuff. And I've gone in a few different directions with it, because some of my business clients want some more business information. And so once in a while, I'll do a week or so that I'm mostly focused on business things and marketing and strategies like that. But a lot of it is so much of my time recently has been focused on developing powerful mindsets, that I do a lot of things that are focused on that, and things that are focused around my courses and the different things I teach. And I try to share it because I know everybody that listens to me isn't going to go through my courses. So hopefully they can get some knowledge and some inspiration out of the things I'm sharing on those videos and the podcast as well.
Wow. So that's great, because so many people need that. And I think it's kind of a twofold, because with everyone with COVID sitting at home, trying to figure things out, trying to determine a way to pivot, having been able to come and see something like that, because business isn't going good, or they've had to shut the doors, or a variety of different things are going on. So that is something that's great that can be shared, and it doesn't cost you anything but just a little time.
Exactly.
So that's the great thing, just a little time. So let's get into your course. This is a big one, and I hope, people, you start to see it and you start, you take advantage of it. I mean, there's an opportunity for you to, get connected with Jeff and, figure out where you need to go. High Achievers Mindset Seekers. So explain that title.
So the whole premise behind the course was most of my focus was on my business coaching. But as you know, Melissa, I'm also a basketball coach, and you're part of my inner circle mastermind. And one of the things I would always do last season is I'd always host our inner circle mastermind from our school's team film room, because it was always right before my basketball practice. And a lot of times what we'd do is we'd talk about all these strategies in the inner circle mastermind, and a lot of them were things that aren't just applicable to us as business owners and high achievers, and that they're just good life principles. And so what I'd find myself doing is I would often leave that mastermind, walk into basketball practice, and I'd spend the next half hour teaching my team those things that we were just talking about in our mastermind. And then with my business coaching, I was mostly coaching entrepreneurs and those type of individuals, but I still had some salesmen and people that didn't own their businesses that I was working with. But you're always looking at high achievers, whether you're an athlete, a coach, an entrepreneur, whatever it is, trying to get to the next level. And it always came down, there was always two main things. Everyone had their business issues they needed to take care of, their sales issues, whatever it is, but there was always accountability and mindset that was general for everybody. They really needed to focus on those two. And as I really started focusing more and more on the mindset aspect of it, I realized how important that was, because I watched so many people that had their own limiting beliefs that were holding them back from doing what they were really capable of achieving. And so I started focusing a lot more on the mindset and figuring out what we need to do to help people to develop a powerful mindset so that they can get to the next level, whether it's an entrepreneur or an athlete or a team, and what the things are we needed to do. And so I've focused on that. And originally I was actually on a podcast with some ladies in Pakistan, and we were talking about this. And I hadn't started the course, and I committed to them that I was going to create a course for it. And my initial thought was it was going to be this quick thing. And I think I told them I'll have it ready in 2 weeks. Well, this turned into something that I started studying it more and getting into it, and thought, if I do this in 2 weeks, it's not going to be a great course. It's not going to have the value in it that I really want. And so it's actually been at least a couple months that I've been working on this, because every time I got into a module and really started studying it and researching more and more, I'd get excited about a topic and go off and have to read 5 books about that to really understand what I wanted to implement. And so it's finally come to the point that I've got people starting to take the course, and it's been amazing. It's been amazing to see what a course like this can do to help people to really break through those barriers and those limiting beliefs they have about themselves and take themselves to the next level.
Wow. Now, I'm going to go back a little bit, and this is what I do with everybody that call themselves a coach. Um, as you know, there's a slew of them out there. Everybody's putting coach in front of their name, coach this, coach that. What makes you different than any other coach?
I think what makes me different is my experience. I started from taking entrepreneurship as my major in school. I graduated, and at that point my goal was I want to own my own business. I don't know what it's going to be. But then I was working at the bank while I was going to school, and they offered me a job as soon as I graduated. But I was also a professional rodeo cowboy, so I turned it down, and I just thought I was going to be a cowboy the rest of my life.
Oh, wow. Never knew that one.
But then about, I don't know, 6 months later, so I went back, and the bank offered me, they still had the position. So I got into the banking industry, and I was fortunate because I was able to climb the ladder really quick. And I got into a position where I was a manager of my own branch. But with that, we were called a full service branch, where I also dealt with all the business people. So I had an opportunity to basically, from a financial perspective, I was coaching my clients and helping them. And I loved it because I got to dig in and really learn about their businesses and coach them from the banking side of things.
Mhm.
And what happened then was I had an opportunity one day. I was sitting in one of my clients' offices, and he was a home builder, and he had this catalog on his desk for artificial stone that they put on all their homes. And sure enough, that turned into a conversation that I quit the bank and started a manufacturing company making artificial stone. And so, and he ended up being my partner in this. And so in 2005, I started this company, Kodiak Mountain Stone, which I'm still the CEO of today. But through that whole period, I've had a lot of learning experiences, that lot that were great and a lot that were terrible. And I've always been a big believer in personal development. So I was always taking more courses, coaching courses, my own personal study and stuff. But I was always telling one of my partners, my CFO, Dave, that, something would happen. I'm like, that's something that I need to share with somebody at some point, because one, they don't have to go through all these problems to figure this out like we did.
Right.
And one day he called me. It was after I moved from Canada down to Arizona. And he says, I have someone that you need to meet. And it was one of his other clients. And had a similar background. He was in the manufacturing industry, and now is a very successful coach. And I sat down with him one day, and I was telling him, my desire was to get into coaching at some point and take my experiences and knowledge and everything I've had since running this company since 2005 and help other entrepreneurs. And kind of talked about the things that I would need to do to get to that point. And he just said to me, he says, why aren't you doing it? You've got the experience, you've got the education, you've got the background. You can be helping people right now.
Yeah.
And that was the thing that kind of, I guess, my own limiting beliefs, telling myself that I couldn't do it. And that was the thing that gave me the push. And that's when I started doing the coaching. And so I guess a lot of what makes me different is I've been there. I've been when things are going great. I've been when things are going down. We're a company in the home building industry. So since 2005, there's definitely been the ups and downs. And, it's been a company that we're started as a manufacturer. In 2017, we switched now that we're just distributors. And so I've got a lot of experience in a lot of different areas. And I think that's where I can add a lot of value, is from my personal experience of all my roller coaster rides.
Well, if that doesn't impress somebody, I don't know what will. So, and the reason I always like to ask that question, because, you know, as a business owner, we have these things that we say, oh, we're passionate about this, passionate about that. And it's no, oh, if you're passionate about it, let's turn it into a business. And I'm one of those that completely disagree with that. And I always use me as an example. I'm passionate about some shoes, but I don't want to sell no shoes. I don't want a shoe store, but I love me some shoes. So I think we have to understand determine the difference between what you're truly passionate about and what your gifted skill is.
Hey, savvy listeners, it's your girl Tracy with another edition of Coffee Cup Therapy. Are y'all ready for this good word? Okay, then let's go ahead and get this party started. Honey, listen, let me ask y'all a question. What are you waiting on? Go ahead, I'll give you a minute to think about your answer. See, what I want you to do, folks, is look at your life at this very moment, at this very second, and realize how perfect it is. Imperfectly perfect, but your life nonetheless. So please, I say to you, my friends, live your life now. Live your life in this very moment. Stand in your truth. Nothing magical is going to happen. Take life by the horns and live it now. Because guess what, people? Time waits for no one. All right, now I want y'all to take that good word and go out there and be amazing today. Remember, this world absolutely needs you. Oh, but before I forget, what I need you guys to do for me is give me some feedback. Let a girl know what's on your mind and give me some thoughts and tell me what you want to hear. You can send those emails at media@savvymag.biz. Hope to hear from you soon.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So I think with everything that you just said and with the courses that you put together, it helps people to understand the difference between the two and not just jump into something because I'm passionate. Because when you hear somebody say, well, why you started a business? Oh, well, I'm passionate about it. Okay. Okay. What else you got? So I think this is something that is crucial for people to go through. And if they can't go through the whole course, find somebody that can help navigate you in that right direction. Um, because we can't do it all by ourselves. That's a given. We can't do it by ourselves. So with the High Achievers Mindset Seekers course,
Secrets.
secrets, sorry. So
Yes, that's all
mindset
right.
secrets. So with that, what can someone expect when they sign up for the course, and how long can they expect to go through the course?
Yeah, for sure. Well, to begin with, it's a 6-week program. And so there's 3 different levels of it. It's one, the course, and you get into the course, and through that 6 weeks, each week you'll get a new module. And in each module, there's going to be a number of different videos that come with that, and PDFs and worksheets and stuff like that. And what it's going to do, it's going to take you from gaining a real clarity of where you are and then where you want to go and how you're going to get there. And then one of the most important things, I think, and people hear this all the time because Simon Sinek really brought it forth, was knowing your why. And when you talk about passion, that's something that you have to have, is you've got to know your why. Because when you figure out where you're taking things, if you don't know your why you're doing it, your true why, then when things get rough, it's hard to stay excited about it. So we really focus on creating that, figuring it out, how you're going to do that, where you're going, and how you're going to get there. But then also getting into how do we create the mindset that we know we can achieve these things and overcome all the limiting beliefs that we have. And it goes throughout the 6 courses, 6 modules. We go pretty deep into some of these subjects. In fact, on my podcast today, I was talking about the third module, which we focus a lot on visualization and imagination and all those things. And they're just powerful tools that add to creating all these things. Because really, I mean, you hear it in all the historical business books is, whatever we can, whatever the mind man can conceive and believe, it can achieve as a man think, is all those things on the power of the mind. And Melissa, you're studying Think and Grow Rich.
Yes, I am.
and the things that we're taught in those books on how powerful the mind is in helping us achieve all these goals and believing in ourselves. And then we go all the way through, and in the final module, we actually, because, well, I'll talk about the other part too. So there's just going through the course and doing it as a self thing. The second part is what I call the academy, which is the 6-week course, but it's also tied in with some personal one-on-one coaching with me. And so then we can go into more specific on your situation and whatnot. And then the third part is for teams. It's the team program, whether it's an athletic team or a sales team or whatever it might be. And that's similar to the academy, because the team will go through on the course on their own, but we also do some team coaching with the entire team and myself. And so how that all ties together is, especially with working with, say, an athletic team, usually you're working with younger adults, or even if you're looking at high schools and stuff. So one of the things that we've added in at the end is in the final module, I've also included mindset tied in with mental health. And my daughter, who is a collegiate athlete, helps me on that because that's something that she deals with as a college athlete, and how we can help, whether it's in the business environment or an athletic environment. So it is a 6-week program. All three of the different types of whichever you go through is 6 weeks, and it's just whichever level that suits you the best.
Okay. Do you think that your experience on the basketball court, you bring a lot of that into your entrepreneurship courses and vice versa?
I think it is. In fact, when I first started, one of the first courses I ever did is a free course that I offer. It's called my Momentum series. And as I was doing that, and as I'm going through the different modules, it's always more effective when you can share stories and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed that every time I told a story, it was related to a sporting event of some sort that I could relate it to. And at first I was trying to do less and less of that. But then I really think there's a really close tie-in with athletics and life. You can really use athletics to really explain situations in life. So I do think there's a lot of experiences that I've been able to have or go through myself as a coach or as a player in basketball or other sports, where it helps someone understand how to take something that they're learning and really apply it to their own lives when you can use a sports analogy. So yes, in this program, there are quite a few sports analogies.
Well, that's great because it's something that we can easily relate to, especially if you're a sports fanatic. You can easily relate to some of those things to make it make sense. How important is transparency when you're working with a person, or I mean, whether they go through your course or not, just having transparency to grow, how important is that?
I think it's important on both sides, from the client's perspective and the coach's perspective, to really be able to dig in and understand where you're at and where you really want to go. There needs to be that transparency and a level of trust, because especially when you start talking about limiting beliefs. I was working with a client recently that we got talking about her limiting beliefs, and she's an adult now running a very successful business. But one of the biggest things holding her back is something that was said to her at one point when I believe she said she was 6 years old at Christmas time by her father, a conversation with her father and grandmother. And that's something, things stick with us that who knows how long ago they are. And they really can limit what we're doing. But if we're not transparent and open about those things, the thing that's holding us back might not ever be identified. And the coach isn't going to fully be able to help you if you're not being transparent that way. And that's also obviously why there needs to be a level of trust with the coach and the relationship and confidentiality, because you need to be able to feel comfortable opening up on those things.
What can a person look for when they're trying to find a coach? What are some of the key questions that they can ask, and what are some of the things that they need to look for to know if it's a right fit?
I think, you brought up a good example is, why are they a coach? What qualifies them as a coach? And I think that's important to understand where that coach's background comes from and what their focuses are. Because, for myself, I focus on working with entrepreneurs on the business aspect, and then so much on the mindset aspect. If that's not what you need, or if that's not where your focus needs to be, then I'm probably not the right coach. And so you need to understand what their specialties are, where their talents are. And I think it's good too, whether it's through, not many coaches will post a testimonial that's not a good testimonial, but look at their testimonials and find out who they've coached before and those sort of things. And, ask what their experience is, ask what, and, one of the things that is really helpful for me is I offer the free strategy sessions. And that gives me an opportunity to sit with someone for a 45-minute strategy session, talking about the things that they need, what I can do, and, even are we going to be a fit? And those sort of things are really beneficial because you can really get an idea of how you can help each other that way.
Is there, from your personal belief, is there any coach out there that can say, oh, I can help or coach anybody? Or would you say that coaches have different levels, and then there are some people that they just simply can't mesh with, and they should either recommend somebody else or just be upfront and say, I could just charge you X number of dollars and give you this, but I know it's not going to benefit you for what you're looking for.
Yeah. It you do hear a lot of coaches that are basically, I can do everything for anyone.
Yeah.
And it's not true. You've got to have that fit. You've got to be able to have that everything working out for both of you. And I think you do have to have that, because I have had individuals that I've talked to before that I wanted to help, but I also have said, for what you're looking for, I think I have someone else that's a better fit for you. And because most coaches do, they know other coaches and they know who their other specialties are. And, right now I'm doing a project with a lady that we're working on a project where our expertise intertwine, but her real expertise are in relationship coaching. And so I've had people come to me and with that, and I'm not a relationship coach. And so I've referred them and said, you need to talk to Yana. She's in that area. And so I think it is really identifying the right coach, because it's an investment in yourself, but you've got to have that investment that you're going to have it pay off for you in the long run. And if it's not a good fit, if they're not going to be doing the things that are going to help you get to where you're trying to get, then it's the wrong coach and it's not going to work out for you, and it's not a great investment.
Right. What would you say? You mentioned the word investment. For anyone in business, or even like you said, your program can go for a sales team or anybody, the investment into your program is not, it can also be just the work that you're putting in, not always monetary. Is that correct?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Because that's the other part of it is, there's the monetary investment of getting a coach or getting a program. But if you're just walking through it and not investing yourself in the process and really taking the things that you're learning and incorporating them into your life, you're not going to get the full return on it. You've really got to make the investment of more than just, okay, I'm going to pay for the course and I better come out good. You've got to do the work, whether it's just the one-on-one coaching. And because when you hire a coach, you're going to have the coach is going to help you, set up what you're going to be accountable for and doing those things. You've got to do those things because they're setting those up to help you to be successful and, to create that momentum of getting those weekly or daily successes and building on themselves. But if you're having the strategy sessions with them, you're going through the coaching sessions and you're not doing the work, you're not going to get the return that you're hoping for.
Right. No, I completely agree. Would you say that your program is for startups or established businesses?
That's a good question, Melissa, because I really see it as something that is going to be different for each of them. As a startup, the course is definitely going to be extremely valuable for them because they need to get through that. But I think also at the same time, that's where the one-on-one coaching brings in a lot of value as well, because I can use my expertise as going through a startup and helping others through startups where you might be trying to do something that I have the experience that I can save you a lot of time, money, effort, whatever it is, by saying, no, here's a better way you need to do it. Um, and that goes for all, but for established businesses too, a lot of times, um, the one-on-one or the group coaching comes in very valuable, because it's like our mastermind. You bring the collective effort together and you can really do some great things. But I think the established companies can also take just the course, even without the one-on-one coaching, and really accelerate it, because they have the experience and knowledge and stuff. They obviously still benefit from the one-on-one coaching, but they can probably get by better without.
Okay. When a person is in business, they don't know when is the right time to say, okay, now let me go seek out a coach or a mentor. And sometimes they don't know the difference between getting a mentor, getting a coach, because they think they're all the same, and which they're not. So when is the right time to say, all right, it's time for me to go get a coach, and not when you go get a DBA and say, okay, I got a DBA, let me go find me a coach.
That's a great question too, Melissa, because I think you can look at businesses at all different stages, and you can always say you could have done better if you would have had a coach the stage before.
Yeah.
Or and the problem too with startups a lot of the time is they're so cash strapped that they're cutting every corner they can.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things, in 2005, when I started Kodiak Mountain Stone, I was trying to do everything myself. And one of the most powerful lessons I learned, and I learned it too late, was bringing in the right people as early as possible, because it, going back to what we were talking about before, it's an investment rather than an expense. And I think that's the same thing with coaching. Is a coach, the sooner you can bring someone in as a coach, as long as you line up with them and it's the right coach, they are an investment, not an expense at that point, because they're going to help reduce your expenses overall, but also accelerate how soon you're going to get a return on what you're doing. And so I am a believer that the sooner you can do it, the better off you'll be. And sometimes that's going to mean sacrificing in other areas, but I think what it does is it accelerates everything else so much quicker that you'll get to that next level quicker and be able to do the things that you've had to sacrifice.
Wow. Okay. So we also know, not only do you build courses to help people become successful, but you also have a journal. Um, and I say, since we started with COVID, journals started to really blow up, because people are at home, and all these different reasons. And it's okay, let's journal, let's write. So what is different from your journal opposed to any journal you could go to Barnes and Noble and pick up?
So my, I call it my mindset journal, and it all came about with my whole studying of mindset and what I was working on. And I created it because it was something I needed. And so what it is, it has a lot of the strategies I teach with building mindset and whatnot. At the beginning of the journal, it goes through the stages of setting goals and gaining clarity and all those sort of things. But one of the most powerful things around mindset is really focusing on the habitual questions that you have in your own mind, because that conversation that you continually have, that self-talk, really dictates so much of your life. And one of the things I really teach a lot about is the power of your reticular activating system, or your RAS. And what that is, that's something in your brain that identifies the things that are important to you. And the easiest example to explain it to people is, when you buy a new car. And well, the story I use all the time is, when we moved to Arizona, I bought my daughter a new Spider Mitsubishi convertible car, and I'd never seen one before.
Mhm.
But I bought it for her, and all of a sudden I start seeing this car everywhere. And
Yeah.
it wasn't
Yeah.
that they weren't there. It's just my RAS was saying this car is important. And so then I start recognizing those things. And so when you can manipulate your RAS, that's probably not the right word to use, but when you can use your RAS as a tool, you can really help yourself achieve some goals. Because when you can do the things that tell your RAS what's important to you, those things will start standing out to you in life. It's like when you're walking through a crowded building and you hear your name. You know, it's noisy and you can't hear anything, but all of a sudden you hear your name halfway across the room. It's because that's important to you. So part of the journal is I have some exercises that you go through every morning. I've got mindset questions, and you go through these questions every morning. Part of them are to get you thinking for the morning and get you set up for the morning, but part of them are just to get your mind working and recognizing that these are important things to you, so that as you're going throughout your life, your brain's going to pick up on these things that you might not recognize an opportunity if you hadn't been so focused on those questions. And then at the end of the day, I have some evening mindset questions that you go through. And so with those mindset questions, they're really powerful in developing, you know, a way to recognize how to achieve your goals. And one of them is, you know, what are you going to do today that'll make you step outside your comfort zone? And, you know, as an entrepreneur, this is a great one, because when you're looking to step outside your comfort zone every single day, you know, your comfort zone just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah. You know, back in, when was it, December of 2020, the first time I was on a podcast on this, I was nervous. Now I've done a ton of them. I'm not nervous. And so stepping out of my comfort zone that first time, that first interview you gave me it was hard. But now I've done it so many times.
Never knew.
So those are some powerful things. And then I do add some daily, weekly, and monthly journaling activities in there too. And actually a lot of those I learned them from Benjamin Hardy, who is an expert on journaling and using your journaling to help your creativity and stuff like that. And so then I add those all in too. And it's not like, you know, in the morning with your mindset questions and your morning journaling, it's not like you sit there for an hour doing all this. You can go through it in 15 minutes and have it all done and really be primed for the day.
Yeah, I think probably when people do journal and they're going through the questions, that instead of just doing, okay, just do what's come to your mind, just write it down. We're thinking and trying to write down the perfect question or the perfect answer, or, oh, let me think of the correct word. Your word could be as basic as a pre-K word. We don't have to always think of, oh, well, I need to sound like an adult, you know? So
exactly.
If that's where you are, that's just where you are. And I find it really intriguing on how you're really taking coaching from how to bounce a ball, how to shoot it, how to dribble, all these things, and you flipped it around and put it on paper for someone to understand how to work your mind. Okay, we're going to go jog for 2 miles, but we're going to have your brain jogging for 2 miles doing XYZ.
Exactly.
We're gonna have your focusing in over here instead of just holding the ball. We're gonna focus in over here and do XYZ. So it's intriguing on how you took that and flipped it around and built this course and a journal and just doing the different things that you're doing. So I think this a good, I have to say, exercise. It's a good exercise for people to get into. So, you know, I just say it's a good thing. You could do this instead of gasping for air.
Very good point. Yes.
that's I guess one good thing about it. You don't have to gasp for air for this one, but I'll just say I never want to be in none of your drills. I'll say that. I would not want to go through any of your drills on outside. So
you know what though? That is actually one of the things where I've learned the power of mindset. Because you know, you look at a young high school basketball team like that, and one of the things we did, we were conditioned very well. We were in very good shape. But I always told them that. I said, you know, we aren't doing it just so you're in good shape. Because when you're in the fourth quarter and the game's on the line, and you look at your opponent and you see they are a lot more tired than you are because you guys have been going so hard, but you're in better shape, you just won that mental game. You just won because you know you're in better condition than them. And I mean, it's things like that. That's where a powerful mindset helps you to get to the next level. Because I mean, one of my things was, even when we did our running and practices and stuff, after we ran and they rest, they weren't allowed to put their hands on their legs and look tired and stuff, because they had to win mentally. They've got to know that even if they're tired, they can't show their opponent that they're tired, because they can win the mental game.
Again, I do not want to go through your drills. I think I just look. I waved my white flag. I give up. I'm done. I'm done. But it's not. I mean, I'm joking about it, but it's also a really good thing. And one other thing I want to touch on before we get out of here is the mastermind. Um, it's some I've been invited to it, and I have been attending for, I don't know what, 4 months, 5 months, something like that. And it's a group of people that's completely different from what most people consider to be a mastermind. Most masterminds you go to, they have you to pay this fee. You go, they sit, they talk. It's nothing. They don't work within that circle, and it's the people that's leading the masterminds doesn't have their group best interest at heart. It's more so, okay, I'm gonna get a group of people together and I'm gonna make, a little change while I'm doing it. But that has to shift and that has to change, because that's not the real purpose of a mastermind. And when you're looking for a mastermind group, be sure you interview it, just like you go on a job interview. You interview that leader or that coach or whoever's heading up that mastermind, and ask the questions. Why should I come here? What do you do? What's the purpose? And understand, and go to a couple of them, see who's in and see what the conversations are like. um but that's that exploration area of where you want to check some of those things out. And I can say sometime that when I do miss those, I'm like, man, I'm missing the mastermind meeting. So when you can feel like that, that means that you're getting something out of it. And sometimes you even feel like you're in trouble. I don't know why, but you just feel like you're in trouble sometimes. But it's one of those things. So thank you for putting together something like that and inviting people to come to the mastermind. So what made you start your own mastermind group?
You know what? Well, going back, the whole idea of the mastermind came from the fact that there is a point in when everything crashed in 2008. I needed to pivot with my stone company. I needed to make some changes and I wasn't sure how to do it.
Yeah.
And I was sitting at a business conference in Hawaii, and there was a lady at my table that owned a scrapbooking company. And we got talking, and really, what are the similarities between a scrapbooking company and a stone company? Nothing. and at least that's what was in my mind.
Right.
But then we got talking about some of the things she had been doing, and it just hit me. I'm like, that's what I need to do with my company. And there's so much power when you bring people from different industries, different backgrounds, all these different things, and come together as a group and look at the things that you're dealing with and the problems you're dealing with and what are you trying to solve, and getting that outside perspective might solve something and create a solution 10, 100 times faster than you're going to find it on your own. And so that's where the whole idea of I've got to bring these people together that can help one another do that. Now, ours has been unique because the core group of everyone that's on all the time, I really, no one knew each other before joining the mastermind. And now you look at it and how many people are doing things together and working together and bringing their kids to Houston to see you. And it's just been so amazing to watch this group work together and support one another. It's really been awesome.
Wow. Well, it's I think it's going to continue to grow. And as people find out about it and they take the time to invest in themselves, that, it just takes you, taking the time to sit in a chair and turn on a camera pretty much, to come in and be a part of the group. And one thing I will say, Jeff will hold you accountable. he he is true to his coaching nature. He will hold you accountable. And sometimes he may even ask you, well, why not? And you're sitting there like, a kid get in trouble, like, oh. So, but I can say it's a good thing. It's a good thing. To have something like that. Oh, and one other thing, I don't want to forget this. Let's talk about Jeff Shad. I know
Absolutely.
that's part of the Savvy brand that created it. And one reason I did it, for those of you that don't know, if you're watching this, we have the podcast, and then we also have Savvy the Business Magazine. And throughout that journey, Jeff became a contributor to the magazine. And as we're talking, you see he have all of this excellent information. And I'm like, okay, I can't keep chopping his stuff up. I want him to be a contributor, but all his stuff doesn't make sense on a page or a page and a half. So I came up with the idea, after I started some time, like, well, how can I do this? How can I do it? And one night, just watching TV, it just came to me, a shed. And the most thing we think about, okay, what do we do with a shed? We put our tools. That's where we store our tools when we need to go do something. We go to the shed and we get our shovel, we dig, we rake, we cut the lawn, all these different things to do something. So that's how I came up with Jeff Shed. And I created this character, just messing around with it, and it's just evolved into something. And that's what the magazine is. It's Jeff Shed. So when you open the magazine, you have the tools from Jeff and sometime a few other people, but that's how his own magazine came about. And it's just something that has its own track, because it can walk where it want to walk, it can run where it want to run, because of the information that he has. And that's how that came. That's how that was born. So that was just to give you a little history about it. But you tell us, what do you think about it now that you've been doing it for, a few months? What do you think?
I think it's really cool. It's a real opportunity. And, you sent me some analytics this past week and showing how it's grown. And it's not just something that a few people in the US are looking at. It's US, Canada, and then all over the world. I can't remember on that last one how many different countries it was in, but it's really cool to see how that can go all over the place. And, take some of these things that I'm teaching, and hopefully it really doesn't matter if you're in the US or you're in Ireland or whatever. If these strategies can help you take your business and accomplish some of your goals, that's the whole intent, is to help people. And so, yeah, it's really exciting. And, it started, I was excited. I had the opportunity to contribute something to Savvy the Business Magazine, and then all of a sudden one day I wake up and I'm a cartoon character, and this whole thing developed into Jeff Shed, and I was like, this is amazing, this is really cool. So no, I appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely, because I remember when I first started, I was like, oh, I hope you don't get offended that I'm making him a character, and I'm trying to think, okay, how can I do this, and I was just thinking, and when I first sent you the very first draft, I wish I had a camera to look once you first open and see what your face looked like. I'm like, oh my God, what is he gonna say? What is he gonna say? So when I first sent you that draft?
What did I think?
Yeah.
I honestly, I was like, dang, it looks like me. and then the next thing was like, I got to show this to my family. So I was texting it out and sharing it with people.
Yeah, because I know you told me you showed your mom. I was like, you did what? You showed your mom. But yeah, so it's fun, and it's something different. I think there's something that we need now in the business world is let's just relax sometimes,
Yeah.
let's not worry about being so serious all the time. Granted, yes, we gotta, take care of our business, do the things we need to do, but sometimes we just need to relax, and we need to have that relaxing, feel when we're going into learning, because we don't want learning to always be that tight knit, and we're like, oh, here we go again, right? So I think that's another way that I looked at it as well, especially by it being a magazine. And when
Uh,
you look at the front cover, you're like, oh, okay, it's a cartoon cover. When you open it up, you actually have some information like, oh, okay, I could use this. Oh, okay. I could do something with this. So I think that's great that I was able to do that, and you went along with me. He just kind of gave me free will. I don't care, Melissa, what you want to do. So
you know what, I've known you long enough now. I know I know how creative you are and how smart you are with these things. If it's something you say, yeah, I think we should do it, I'm like, I'm on board. Let's do it.
and he does. He is not exaggerating about that. He does, and I can, appreciate. I don't get that from everybody, so I can truly appreciate that. He's like, when I say free will, just I don't care which one. What you need me to do, I'll do it. Hey, okay. So that's great to be able to do that. So let everybody know, one, how they can get in contact with you, social media, and how they can be a part of the program if they choose to.
Absolutely. So my email is jeff@jeffheggie.com. My Instagram is Jeff Heggie Coaching. Facebook's Jeff Heggie Coaching. LinkedIn is Jeff Heggie, and Twitter is Jeff Heggie Coach. You can find my mindset journal at mindsetjournal.jeffheggie.com. And then also with the High Achievers Mindset Secrets, Melissa's going to post the link to it. But if you go to mindsetsecrets.jeffheggie.com, there's information on the course there, but there's also a place where it says you can apply for the academy. Now, if you go and apply for that academy and make a note and let me know that you heard about it here on Savvy Business Podcast, I want to set up a free strategy session with you, and I'll make sure to treat you really well, and we'll go through and figure out what you need to do to help you implement some of these strategies and what you need to do to take your life and your business and whatever you're doing to the next level.
Wow, awesome. Thank you so much, Jeff, for joining us, and just being open about everything in your course. It's going to be great. I can't wait to see the success of everybody that's going to participate with this course.
Thank you, Melissa. It's always a pleasure talking with you, and thank you for having me on your show again.
Absolutely. Bye bye.